And I have hit the pre-roll button, so ads are playing.
Thank you. Now, is our voice going over the ads?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. So anybody who's subbed to the channel can hear us because they won't be in an ad. But anybody that's not subbed to the channel will be in ads.
Nice. So, part of what I wanted to go over tonight, and just shooting you guys ahead of time, is I'm gonna go over some examples of screens that I have, what it looks like for you guys, to make sure that it actually looks okay for you playing. And then I also want to answer questions on characters and help people make characters. So that's my plan. So I'm glad you guys found the PDF again. Um, but yeah, that's gonna be my plan for tonight. So think of questions if you have questions, or things that you thought of over the course of last week, for us to go over now. And I'll make sure backgrounds is one of the big things we talk about, because I think that's one of the less familiar things from other systems. It was a good sandwich.
Mark, I'm not sure what the heck happened with these things, but I still can't access them.
Oh, the file?
Are you trying to download it rather than open it?
I'm just trying to click on them, but
no, don't do
happening.
that. Don't do that. Click the hover over it till you see the little download icon, and click that instead of.
I don't have a download option.
That's because Mark sent you a PDF, like a picture, a JPEG of what it
Okay.
look like.
Hover over it.
Yeah, it says Volta Spire of Secrets
1.0 Do you see
PDF.
the 3 dots, more actions?
I clicked on the 3 dots. It says star copy message link forward to inbox.
Try forwarding it to your inbox.
You might be able to download it from your inbox.
8 years later.
Add on my domain.
I know. Thank you. Oh, are we up, Mark?
Yeah.
Oh, I was waiting that 5 minutes.
30 seconds for the ad break to end. Sorry.
All right. So hello. How's it going, everybody? I am.
Well, you got 30 seconds still before it's over.
Oh.
I was just like, sorry. That's what I meant by 30 seconds till the ad break ends. Yes. Sorry. 15 seconds now. Although anybody on YouTube watching will see this and wonder what the hell is going on with Dan. So that's good too.
Mark, I'm not sure exactly what you sent me, but it's giving me a failed to load.
We'll make sure to get it to you.
Yeah, we'll make sure to get it to you.
Mark needs to get it to me too. So.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
Oh,
cool. But the spell cards came through.
Hey, everybody. I promise this will be better. But I am GM Dan. I am with Frightful Forge, part of the larger Gamers Ledge umbrella. And we are doing a session 0 for a Spelljammer campaign called Laughing Corpses. I have 8 of the most beautiful and brightest people I could find. And so in a little bit, I'll go through all of the players. If you could tell people your name and the kind of character you're looking at playing, just so that they can get an idea of what we're going through today. I'll be going through a little bit of the setting information for Journey through the Radiant Citadel, which is what I will be starting with for this campaign. And then we'll be going over kind of how it's going to work, because I gave you guys the brief overview last week, but I actually have some examples this week so that we can see if it works for everybody. And then we will work on characters. We'll go over some character creation stuff and we'll go over some character creation stuff and how that's going to build. I'm laughing because it looks like they just blew up the Enterprise over Mark's face.
Yeah, Ken just blew up the Enterprise again with a sub. Thank you.
All right. So as I mentioned, I'm the GM. I'm the GM Dan, and I will now switch it over to my players. So let's go ahead and start with the upper. Let's go clockwise. So we'll start with. I don't know which direction I'm pointing. Let's start with Andres. Go ahead and start, and then we'll go clockwise around, and we'll end with Justin.
So you want us to say like what kind of character we're planning on playing?
Yeah, like your name, what you go by, and the character
Yeah.
you're looking at playing. Yeah.
All right. My name is Andres. Pronouns are he/him, and I'm gonna be playing Harangan Trickster Cleric. And I'm gonna be dipping into Thief a little bit because I kind of want to steal artifacts and then give them back to the people. So, yeah.
Yeah, quick question for those that don't know. What's a Harangan?
Oh, they're rabbit people. So, like, imagine a person, like a human-sized person, but they have rabbit features. So, like the fur, the face. I'll have a tail and the feet. Yeah, I'll have a
From
bushy tail.
That's
what was the movie with the Christmas and everything? The holiday creatures.
What?
What was the one with the Australian Easter Bunny?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there you go.
Rise of the Guardians.
Yeah, you're like that. That's a good
I'm
point.
like that.
Good point. And good point, Mark, because some of these races you guys have chosen are not the common races.
Yeah.
I have all right, were you good, Andres?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Megs.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, mine's backwards.
I'm right there with you, Naomi.
Mine's
I'm like, okay,
backwards.
so we're going counterclockwise.
It just occurred to me. I'm looking at my screen from how I see it, and I just remembered you guys telling me what I'm seeing is backwards.
Mm.
So we're gonna go counterclockwise.
Next.
Wait, so it's still my turn?
It's still your
Yeah,
turn.
still your turn. Yep.
Okay. Okay, my name is Megan. She, her, and I don't have a lot fleshed out for my character, but I'm definitely going to play a sorcerer that is a pixie.
Nice.
What else do we have to say?
No, you're
No,
good.
that's it.
It's you, Tyler.
Okay, cool.
Am I up?
Yeah, you're up.
All right, cool. Just making sure I'm doing this right. Hi, I'm Tyler. He, him are my pronouns. I'm looking at playing a bugbear monk. And yeah, I mean that's about it. Anything else?
Bugbear is kind of like a
Like a large in the goblin family, right?
yeah, it's almost like I mean they appear almost like a Sasquatch with like
I'm here for
with,
that.
like your goblin ears.
Yep.
And so you're gonna be a big kind of burly monk, yeah.
And throw hands.
That's right. Synonyms.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Naomi, she, her, and I'm playing a tiefling barbarian. So bard first, barbarian coming soon. I'm thinking motivational speaker that gets like really into it. I see Mark shaking his head, so yeah, that's gonna be it.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I just saw a crow enter the chat. Is he
I
there?
see Crow right now.
Yes,
I
I'm
think
so
it's
sorry.
turn.
Oh, you're good, man. You
I
good?
fell asleep.
Yay! I mean, you're on
I
the East
mean-
Coast, so it's a bit later for you.
Yeah, it's all right.
Roll it.
It's from all the day drinking, right?
No, today is the first day in like a week and a half, but no.
So, you entered the chat like right at the time where you interrupted where everyone's going, so it's your turn next. So it's your go by, your pronouns, and the character you're looking at playing.
Okay, go by his Keck. Pronouns would be he, him. What was the other two?
Your name.
Oh, Travis. Hey.
Travis or Crow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you camming today, Travis, or no?
Wait, say that again.
Are you camming today or no?
Hold on, I've got your speakers turned up. Yes, I'm gonna turn it on.
Okay.
Shank.
My name is Jim. Most of the community knows me as Shank the Noob. I am going to be playing Sibo Bottle Pop, the Goblin Alchemist.
I love the name.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mark.
My name is Mark. I'm a he, him, and I will be playing the token human, who is also a homebrew class called Chef.
Also of note, if you are in the chat, specifically the Gamers Ledge Twitch chat, Mark will be able to kind of see and interact with you there. But because it's a game and I've got a lot, I'm tracking a lot. I will not be interacting very much or at all. So,
And just for the players, if you see me talking, it's probably because I'm on mute talking to chat. So don't think that I don't know I'm on chat, because most of the time I do.
and then Justin.
That's an interesting cover story for losing your marbles, sir.
What was my excuse before Discord?
Okay, go ahead, Justin.
Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I'm fairly new to like D&D tabletop, but I will be playing a Warforged Ranger, kind of with like a bounty hunter-esque background. Kind of no name decided yet though for my character.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So that is the full of the party. It is a large group. And so, as we spoke about last week, make sure that if you have something that you want to say or questions, go ahead and throw a hand up. I can see where all of you are. However, if we're on one of the bigger maps, I may not see you, so make sure that you let me know you've got something. If someone else sees that you have your hand raised and I haven't pointed that person out or said, "Yeah, Justin, I see you. Give me 1 second." Make sure you guys are like, "Hey, Justin has his hand raised," or whatever.
Get my attention, I'll throw something at him.
Yeah. Rocks, knives, whatever. TV remotes.
Oh, shut up! That's mean.
So
Your
what I'm
family
gonna-
dynamic, man.
So what I'm going to start with is I've got examples I'm going to show you of how some of this stuff was set up last week, but I've got some examples now so that we can check it and make sure it works for you guys. And then I'll get into the setting that we're running because it may change the location you guys want to start from or something that you want to change in your background if you want to come from the Radiant Citadel versus being from somewhere else and ending up at the Radiant Citadel, which is always an option. Yes, Mark.
I forgot, so I just wanted to remind all the players, make sure you click on Daniel's thing so that it makes it the big one. Otherwise, you're not going to see when he changes screens.
True. Very true. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with that. So this is the main player screen I'm going to be using. And so you're going to see yourselves in tiny over and over and over and over and over in my screen if you're looking at everyone. But this is how it's going to be represented. So feel free if you want to blur, have funny backgrounds, whatever. I wish there was a way I could just send you guys a picture of a background that we all could use, but I don't think that's really doable with Discord. I think it's all the ones they have loaded unless you're on Nitro or something. So that's neither here nor there. You guys rock. You're beautiful people, and I appreciate seeing your faces. So this is the main screen that we're gonna be playing with most of the time, where I can see you, you can see me, and we're just having a good conversation. Everything is gonna be theater of the mind in that way, which means I'll be describing things. I'll have artwork sometimes, but a lot of what we run and play is going to be us looking at each other as if we were across the table from one another. I have a digital screen that I will use for when I have pictures or maps or creatures or things that I'd like to show you that are digital. And I have a table map for combat and for how things are going to look in that way. My idea is there are 8 of you, which means in theory 8 or more miniatures representing your party and other NPCs that are helping you. Because that can get confusing looking at an up-down camera, I have these colored rings. And right now, they're just colored pieces of index card to represent it, but I actually ordered a bunch of colored rings, and what will happen is each of you will choose a color from that, and from then on, that will be your color, so that you know which mini is you. And I'll just make sure that when we set it up, I make sure everybody's correct. And your minis will be painted, but I mean, let's be honest, a couple of these minis put right next to each other, if it didn't have the colored ring, it'd still be kind of hard to remember where you were. But if you know you're green or orange or purple or whatever, then you know that's you. Most of the NPCs are not going to have rings. They're just going to be miniatures like this, or flat packs like this. If it's a flat pack like this, the space it will take up will be depending on what it is. So in most cases, when it's something this size, this is a human size, so it'll be in whatever space the bottom is. But a lot of times it's a much bigger creature, and it will be taking up the space of that creature. So I have a couple of different options here for depending on what creatures are. When you have conditions, I'm going to try to have a small piece of paper next to your mini that will remind you that you are tied up, like, or you're poisoned or something like that, so that there's a reminder there also that you can see when we're doing a map like this.
Don't you threaten us with a good time, sir.
Or when you're dead, like the goblin.
My previous
Those
comment
comments
stands,
are
sir.
why I muted myself.
Okay, so does this type of situation work for everybody? Yeah?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. Sweet. I figured that way, and we're gonna, I mean, your characters are going to have a speed, right, that they can move. Every role-playing game has that. Pathfinder has that. Even World of Darkness has that to a point. But a lot of uh, the movement is going to be also narrative, right? So I'm not expecting you to count 6 squares and tell me exactly where you need to be unless you want it, right? In most cases, I figure that somebody will say, I want to move closer to this big bad guy, and I'll count for them there. And then you can say, no, actually, I meant over here, over there. But that way we don't have to worry about me moving you one space at a time. Or if you have counted the spaces, I'll indicate, and then you can tell me where you want to be. But we can get as specific as you guys want to get with that. Some of you, it will matter, like if you're a melee character, like the monk. But some of it won't be as specific if it doesn't need to be. So those are the two big things I had for how things are going to look. Can everyone see this map / read what it says?
See it, yes. Read it. It's pretty tough.
I'm not so worried about reading it because the text is actually really small for me as well, but it's a good judge on.
Yeah.
I can read it, but
Readings.
Preserve the Ancestors entrance. I can read. The thing off in the town. I cannot.
Which
House a
There's a house.
convalesce,
of
maybe.
It's convalescence.
Yeah.
Convalescence.
Yeah, that's a little
There's
hard
like
to
the
read.
portable
The rest is
stairs, yeah.
okay.
Okay. All right. Good to know. So, let's go ahead and start talking about Journey to the Radiant Citadel. I have labeled this as a Spelljammer campaign because in all reality it is a Spelljammer campaign. However, everyone has to start somewhere, and you guys are going to be starting at the Radiant Citadel. The Radiant Citadel, oh, where did I put my notes? That would be my luck. There you are. The Radiant Citadel is a gigantic, indestructible aural diamond that hovers in space in one of the spatial spheres that exist inside the Spelljammer universe. Wrapped around it in kind of a disc shape is a city that was founded by 15 different civilizations. These civilizations are from all over the known and unknown universe, but at some point in their past, they found a Concord jewel on their planet or near their town or within their boundaries that teleported anyone who touched that gem to this citadel. And they took it over and grew together here, the 15 civilizations. Something happened, and those civilizations abandoned the Oral Diamond, and disappeared. A little bit ago, it was found again by a couple of the civilizations who explored and re-brought back those other civilizations to this. Although not all of them have been found yet. Not all the Concord jewels that ring the outer areas of the Radiant Citadel go to the planes they originally did. Only 12 or 13 civilizations have made contact and started to come back to the Radiant Citadel. There are some points of interest here. One is the Court of Whispers. The Court of Whispers essentially is where you can hire private investigators, spies, a lot of bards hang out there because they like stories and they like learning some of these secrets. But it's also known as a place that you have to pay to find out these secrets, right? And you have to pay in one way or another. It's not just currency. But it is where a lot of spies and bards are hired from.
Thieves also are just spies.
It seems just spies because thieves are illegal, and
Got it.
spies are more seen as private investigator types.
Got
it. There is also the House of Convalescence, and it's essentially a hospital. It's where people are brought who are sick, who are dying, or who are dead. For some reason, possibly being so close to the central diamond, healing works extremely well. Any healing spells or healing potions drank or performed in that area are maximized. And all of your resurrection spells, Revivify, True Resurrection, none of them have a casting cost. Many of those are extremely expensive casting costs, like they require 5,000 in diamonds, or like these huge, expensive, you don't need that in the House of Convalescence. And so, people that go out on adventures, or people that befall accidents, a lot of them are brought here to be brought back. Extremely powerful magics. But it's essentially a hospital where people stay to get better. There's also the Palace of Exile, which is right here. It is essentially a place where refugees come to stay. Refugees from all over are brought to the Palace of Exile, and they're given temporary lodging until they can either get on their feet and become part of the community at the Radiant Citadel, or taken to where they would prefer to be for their life, right? So if they're from one of these civilizations and they just want to get home, but they can't for some reason, maybe they have a friend or a loved one in the House of Convalescence, that's where like they would stay to get back on their feet, right? The Preserve of the Ancestors, which I think you pointed out earlier. It's near the central location. It's right here. The Preserve of the Ancestors entrance. It's actually an area within the crystal where it's a preserve for animals, and a lot of the animals are from these other civilizations, either brought in as pets or to save a dying species, but they exist kind of in this almost extra dimensional space inside the gem, the diamond. Also within that area are the incarnates, but I'll be talking about that in a second. Essentially, they are a handful let's say 13, beings made up of gems that are floating in a shape. So I'm going to pull it up in a second to show you, but I'll come back to the incarnates. You also have the trade disc hall, which is right here. It is an area like a market where a lot of stuff can be bought and sold. But it is a huge trade district near the Court of Whispers and right next to the Oro Diamond.
Dan,
Yes.
is that more, are those actual structures, or is this going to be more like Sand Bazaar with Barkers?
So, good question. Both. The architecture of the Radiant Citadel is made up of 14 or 15 different, 15 and now 13 different, completely different civilizations, right? So if
Okay.
it's almost like areas of Europe where you saw a lot of different refugees and stuff come together and build from that. You've got the
Sure.
same thing here. And so in that respect, and since a lot of these are based on Asian and African cultures, you end up with a lot of stalls that are built up in different ways with different designs and different architecture. And there's a handful of beautiful tents with fabric you can't get here, right next to areas that are made of brick of some kind of sandstone you've never seen before.
So I apologize. To clarify on a grander scale, is it something? Are the differences in cultural design something that appear to still seem somewhat separate or ramshackle, or have they created kind of artistic ways for all of the different cultures to visually coexist?
The second one. So
Okay.
there are areas where, well, okay, there are areas like, for example, the night market, which will be a big part of like the first um, module I run, where it's mostly tents and pop-ups that are from these
Okay.
different cultures, but still share a common like artistry. And there are areas, a lot of areas of the Citadel that are hardened structures that have been made to look so that they mesh well together, right? If you
Okay.
have in more European style fantasy, if you had a dwarven building next to an elven building, those are very different architectures.
Diametrically opposed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if they found a way to kind of blend those so that you still saw elements of both with the two
Okay.
buildings, that's more of what you would expect to see here.
Okay. So
Um,
it feels more harmonious than just several cultures all trying to kind of
yeah.
vie for their
So
place. Okay.
to the people that live here, it is very harmonious and artistic and
Hmm.
beautiful. To people that are new to here, it probably still looks a little bit chaotic because it is still some very different cultures that have been mashed together to survive and to live.
And I guess my follow up question would be, for most of the island, is it is it like San Francisco where or Paris where the different districts all kind of have a theme in those areas, but then you'll find some of this stuff mashed in, or is it like mashed in through all the entire city?
So it's mashed in through some of the bigger parts, like the areas I mentioned, but there are definitely districts that focus to those civilizations throughout.
Okay.
You're referring to like Chinatown and
Right.
areas like that, right? Yeah, you're
Right.
definitely gonna get that here. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, good questions, good questions. Okay, one of the last items I had for this specifically is the Concord jewels I mentioned earlier. They're mostly spread out, but they are large, colorful gems that are all retain a color and veins of another color. And in areas that have these gigantic gemstones, ow, I think I read that wrong. Hold on one second, because sometimes I get that wrong too. think it's a passage of respite, actually. And I'm trying to find it. I guess you better answer, but I think it's actually. I had always read it as they were spread out, but I think actually the passage of respite, which is up here, is where the Concord jewels are. But anyway, so they're very large jewels that people walk far around and don't touch on accident because they teleport you to the planes that you are going to end up at. Like for the different adventures or for these different civilizations. So that is the Concord jewels. Now to go back, go ahead.
Quick question about the jewels, unless you don't want to get into this right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the teleportation random, or is this something that is harnessed and used as a transit system by the residents of this
It
town?
is harnessed and used as part of a transit system.
And I imagine there are city guards there to keep people from running up and using them for free.
They are free.
Oh, they are free.
They are free. And transit is mostly unchecked for the most part. But there are guards there to make sure people are being safe and that somebody doesn't get thrown into one. Because I'm sure there is a criminal element wanting to disappear people away, right? And so there are guards there, and the Concord jewels are labeled so that you know where you're going. So it's not random. This red one goes to this area. This blue one goes to that area. It's very specific. Hi, buddy. Hi. Buddy. Okay.
He wasn't get attention from me, so he wanted you.
So, for example, the red pangolin, Dawn Incarnate of Siabsun-Ko, is this one, and the Dawn Incarnates are yes, Mark.
What was that name again?
The Dawn Incarnates are
I'm kidding. Stop, I'm kidding.
No, I know. I'm not going to read it again. I'm not going to say it again. The Dawn Incarnates are an animal, or one is a flower, for example, that is made up.
I'll take.
Made up of gemstones containing spirits from that civilization. And we lost Tyler. There you go. Okay. There you go. So each of these collection of spirits becomes like a hive mind for that civilization, and they're called the Dawn Incarnates. So for example, the civilization of Siamsun-Ko, which I'm sure is wrong, but I'm gonna do my best, is a collection of these gems in this being that live in the preserve. Now, just because it lives in the preserve I was talking about, doesn't mean that they can't exit, and they will often be seen flying through the sky or hanging out. They can talk, and they are considered high levels of politicians because they are considered to be the spirits of the civilization they come from, but most of them don't get involved with the politics of the Radiant Citadel. They have the ability to come in and say, nope, don't like that, voting against it, but very seldom do they actually do that. There is, however, for each of the... Yes.
Daniel, is there a particular aversion to that? Like, is there a specific reason why they choose to stay out of something they would be naturally skilled at?
Well, no? Question mark? Okay. I have that answer, but I can't give you that answer.
Okay.
So,
the plot thickens.
Let's just leave it at they are very wise individuals that don't show up to council meetings. What I was about to say was there are, for each of the civilizations, there is a spokesman, or what is called a speaker, for that civilization that sits on a council, and the speaker is called such because they often speak to the Dawn Incarnates to see what they would like, or if they have any give, or if they have anything to say.
Okay.
Did you catch most of that, Mark? Any of that?
Yeah, I got a good chunk of it.
So they technically still have their say in the council through the speaker. And so if you want to get into the politics of Radiant Citadel, we absolutely can, but I'm gonna kind of glaze over it for now, in the thought that you probably won't, unless you choose to, you probably won't interact with
Glaze
it.
glaze away, sir.
Yeah.
That's
So
all I needed to know.
so there's a handful of these incarnates, and there's a handful of these incarnates, and they can be seen floating around, but for the most part, they stay in the preserve with the animals. Um, they do not usually talk to people who are not their speaker, and those speakers are always from their civilization. Cool? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Um.
A quick question in that picture, seeing it depicted from the side. I noticed that top-down map maybe didn't show the multi-layer
Yeah,
structure. Is
so
it a spiral?
that's kind of why I wanted to scroll down to that, because it's kind of hard to see on this picture, but there is overlap because it spirals a little bit down.
Oh, I see it. Okay, I see it in
And
the
I
in
noticed
the
it
drawing
tucking
there
under.
now.
Yeah.
So is there a full spiral, like a second full layer?
So it's not really a full layer, but it is kind of a half, and this is not necessarily under this. It's
I see.
like
Okay.
you could throw a baseball, drop a baseball, and it would land here.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say something earlier that there's more than one of those giant crystals?
So no one has found any others.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
think when he was sorry, I just wanted to mention. I think Shank, when he was saying the multiple crystals, was stuff spread around the city.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
the,
and then he retracted it and said they're all at the
because
top.
I remembered reading it now. So these are the jewels that lead to the different civilizations, and so you can see that they're turquoise, yellow quartz, serpentine, water opal, jasper. So it's really hard to confuse one for another.
So when I told you that I was thinking my character would be really into crystals, like that works.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Wait, scroll back up. That's good. Thank you. Stay.
Taking a chip for personal use out of the
Thank you.
of the crystal at the center of the city may be frowned upon, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. As a GM, I really try not to look unprofessional, but there are things I'm remembering now. I said you touch the crystal and it teleports you. In fact, you touch the crystal and you go inside the crystal and can control it. It flies out from the oral diamond, past the keening gloom, which I was about to talk about, which is what reminded me. Once it's past the keening gloom, you find yourself on the other plane.
Did you say King Gloom?
A sword can be keen.
Oh, Keen.
Yes.
Keen Gloom. Okay.
Keening.
Keening gloom.
Keening Gloom. Got it.
So you can control the Concord Gloom, the Concord Jewels, with the thought to get past that gloom, and then you teleport to the planet's surface. When you're on the planet's surface, you essentially, because you've been to the Radiant Citadel, you can call these down to you, and one shows up and brings you back.
So it's like a shuttlecraft that goes out like far enough away, and then you plane shift.
Yes.
You teleport to the planet you're going to, but then you can call the shuttlecraft back to beam you back up.
Correct. Thank you.
Got
Very good. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes, that was good. The keening gloom is a constant ethereal storm in a relative sphere around the aural diamond, as if it were the eye of a storm in a sphere.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time? I'm not joking.
Okay. The keening gloom is an ethereal storm in which the Oral Diamond is the eye of that storm. So it's not there. It goes out a distance, and then
So
there's a storm.
it's a sphere.
It is.
A sphere with the radiant
The
citadel.
inside is a sphere.
Ostensibly, it's an atmosphere for the Radiant Citadel. Not that that's its actual function,
Right.
but it's a field that exists
All the way around it. 360.
around the Radiant Citadel.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So I have a follow-up question, and I'm sorry.
Yes.
But can we see the Astral Sea from inside the Radiant Citadel, or we
Okay.
only see the gloom?
So
Question, because I've been asking, do we know
this-
that time space is a thing?
So okay. You know that. Did you say time and space?
No, that is space travel is a thing.
So that's up to your character on whether you believe that's a thing or not. Most players in D&D don't think that space travel is a thing, so that's up to you. Even though you live on a giant crystal, if you choose to live there, that's up to you. Some
Okay,
of
so you
you
could be a
have already given me
conspiracy
backgrounds
theory
that would
for
lead me to
one.
believe that you know that spelljamming is a thing. Yes.
So
Joe.
with that said, not to sorry to interrupt, but is it generally not common knowledge for most any resident in the Radiant Citadel that space travel exists then, even though it seems to be this like travel hub where some people can use the crystals?
So
If it's possible to live there and not know about it?
so the
Do a lot of people not
crystals don't travel in space.
They're just in the area, right?
Right? So, yes, most people at the Radiant Citadel, maybe 97% of people at the Radiant Citadel don't know about spelljamming. Let me put it this way. In the entire D&D universe that I'm running right here, regardless of where you guys end up, a very, very small percentage know that spelljamming is a thing. Very, very
So
small
it'd be more
percentage.
like a conspiracy theory
Like
or
a percentage of a
weird
percentage
out
of a
there.
percentage. Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm pretty sure you've already given us the answer, but that means that there's no spelljamming port in the Radiant Citadel, I assume, because of the gloom, correct?
Correct.
Got it.
And if viewed from the outside, this is me talking to you as players. If viewed from the outside, the Radiant Citadel would appear as a nebula.
Yep.
So people may not even know this exists from the outside.
Okay.
So, and there may be a reason that the Concord Jewels have to go into or outside the King and Gloom to even plane shift, just to say something. As if maybe, I don't know, plane shifting isn't possible here, just to throw that out there. So yes, so unless your character previously or has a belief in spelljamming, saw something spelljamming or the like, they probably don't know about it or haven't even heard of it. It's a completely new concept. Just like most characters, right? If you ask any of the people in the relatively fantastic D&D movie if they knew what spelljamming was, they would laugh at you, right? Because nobody can do that. Even
Well, even plane shifting would be pretty absurd to most characters as
and
well.
that's just using magic to skip from one to the next. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay. That was
So,
my biggest question was like how common knowledge was the whole space travel multi-dimension.
yeah,
everything.
not
It's like
common knowledge.
a civilization that's floating in a bubble surrounding a crystal, but there's a fog, so that makes sense.
Well, not just that, but they also they don't know they're using, but they also use very high level magic to transfer themselves and goods to these other civilizations, right?
Alright, so
They're
it's like
using very high level magic items to do that in these Concord Jewels.
But it's their mundane magic. It's
To
mundane to
them-
them because it's always been there, and so why would
Right.
you consider it high level or or special? Okay, cool.
Very true. Very, very true.
I mean, they
Like
could
taking
just
a
see
bullet
it.
train and
They
not
could
knowing the
just see it.
science behind it.
Yeah. They could just see it as a teleport spell, and that's it.
And in this world, teleport is just
So,
crazy.
in D&D, absolutely. In D&D, plane shifting's a thing. Here at the Radiant Citadel, I shouldn't tell you, but I'm gonna tell you. No, you can't. Teleporting's not a thing. Plane shifting's not a thing. Here, while you're here.
Right.
If you took a Cordant Jewel to one of the planes for an adventure, then absolutely, dimension door, teleport, all of that stuff is still very much in use. But for the purpose of that, it's locked in.
And I mean, since we're all level 1, I doubt any of us had probably even seen something like Dimension Door or anything of that nature. Most likely.
Most likely. Some of you.
Yeah.
A couple
Some
of
might
you.
have.
A couple of you may have.
Yeah. Which
Just
is cool.
based on what you are or who you are. Yeah. Okay. So that is the Radiant Citadel. I figure when/if we transition to the actual Spelljammer content more than what we're doing right now, I will have another one of these session zeros to go over some of it with you, even though it's going to be brand new to you guys, just so that you kind of know what to expect and what I'm describing. That being said, where was I going with that information? Oh, you said something earlier, Mark. I want to make clear. You said, do we see past the astral sea, or can we see the astral sea?
Right.
In this book, the Radiant Citadel is described as being on the astral plane.
Right.
It is not, for my purposes, on the astral plane. It is in space.
Okay.
It is in its own gem sphere, like its own. When we get into Spelljammer, I'll explain it better. But like Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, Eberron, their solar systems exist in this like sphere of air, right? Of space, of space
Yep.
as we know it, right? The
Right.
vacuum of space.
Yep.
It exists in this vacuum of space. And then outside that sphere is like this murky, purplish, reddish, magenta-ish substance that you fly a ship through to get to another sphere. Yeah.
This actually does bring up one other question for me then. Is the diamond what gives off the light in this
Oh.
area, or is there a sun, or...
Thank you. Thank you. The light, the ambient light, comes from shifting lights of the storm and the aural diamond, right? The diamond shifts in color. That was a very important thing I forgot. Shifts in color throughout the day, and as it goes to nighttime, it does shift to darker hues, and then comes back to lighter hues during the day, but it does shift colors, and the shifting of the colors is intermittent. So it's not a pattern, and it's not this color for this long and then that color for that long. It seems to shift randomly. And it's widely believed that in emergency situations, which you haven't, even if you lived here, you haven't ever experienced, that it flashes wildly as almost like a warning system. There are stories of that from the past, but you're not sure where those stories come from because you've never seen that. Okay, so that being said, if you would like to come from here, there are some additional things you could choose. I could go into a little bit more detail on things, or we could figure out kind of what kinds of things you would like to do from here. But the nature of how I am running this game and how I am bringing you all together means that you can be from any D&D world, including other worlds like that are made up when we make your background up, into where we start here. So you don't have to be from here at all. When we run your one shot, how we end that one shot will show how you're starting here. So it's just something to consider. You guys have had some great questions. Do you have any more questions? Nope. Nope. Okay.
So I do have a follow-up question.
Yes.
These civilizations that are listed under the Concord Jewel table here,
Mm-hmm.
like none of them are familiar to me. So does that mean that
None of them are familiar to you because they're all from this book.
got it? So my simple follow-up question was, are any of those civilizations linked to any of the known areas that we have played in, you and I
No,
have played in?
no.
Okay, that's kind of
Yeah.
what I thought.
They can be, the book says they can be like an island off of Forgotten Realms, right? Off of the Sword
right.
Coast where most Forgotten Realms stuff happens. They could be in these different areas. For sake of simplicity, I'm saying they don't belong to any of those.
Okay.
They are either a couple different locations on one planet or a bunch of several different planets. And really the answer is the same in you don't, unless you're planning on going to one of those places and circumventing the globe, there isn't really a reason for you to know if it's the same planet or different planets.
Sure.
So, I have a question though.
Yeah.
Because Wizards of the Coast has put out a lot of Magic the Gathering content.
Uh-huh.
Does that mean I could be from, say, Ravnica?
I've actually had this conversation with our Magic Bubbas. You absolutely can. And I am, one of the characters may actually have spent time at Strixhaven.
I have to change my stuff.
The
Yeah,
Magic,
stuff.
the Magic
I'm
College.
officially the Boros Legion now.
What was that?
My
I'll be the
gosh.
Boros Legion now.
I was looking through backgrounds and saw that you could be like part of the Demir initiative, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I can.
Am I allowed to be a greenskin alchemical bomber from the 40K universe since it's part of Magic now?
Oh my god.
It's all canon.
It's all
I see
canon.
what you did there, sir.
Really, the diamond is just sitting inside the TARDIS.
you don't succeed, you blow it up again.
No, you can't. You don't want to be
this
from the
is-
40K universe. Trust me. That
This
that
is
RPG is way
unacceptable,
more
sir.
deadly.
Plus, you don't even get to choose your name. You got to
Why
roll
can't
for it.
why can't I be a greenskin that's grown from a mushroom? I mean,
He's talking about your people,
You can
Naomi.
believe that you were?
Are we talking about your character or you?
Yeah.
a little of column A, a little of column B.
Works.
So to answer your question, Andres, yeah, that's the any of the published stuff for Wizards of the Coast is pretty much auto include. So the Magic the Gathering stuff, the content they built, that you can probably select anything from there and it'll be approved. Anything from Wild Mount, the Critical Role stuff, also auto include. Like that, it's been through the processes. I'm not even gonna worry about checking to make sure it's balanced, that kind of stuff. There is some stuff that's a little bit iffy, but I mean, having a first level character that can fly is pretty iffy. You know, there's a bunch of stuff that you can really kind of get into with being balanced and whatnot.
I feel you're calling Megan out.
She is the only one, but I
No,
could
You
also
leave
say,
Tinkerbell
There's a
alone,
type
sir.
of tiefling that can have wings?
yeah. Yeah.
You didn't want me to learn that one, did you?
I mentioned it to you.
It takes a long time for a
Oh, you
tiefling to have
did.
wings.
We were hoping I wouldn't.
No, there's new ones. There's
Oh, are there?
new
You
types.
could be level 1 wing tiefling.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
That won't be bad.
there's a little bit of everything. So anyway, so
Learning
if
spells.
anything, what that means for you guys is that you have the burden of choice. There is so much content and so much to choose from, and while I am saying this is going to be, I'm planning on this being a long campaign. We were just talking about that before we got started today. I have a lot written up. I have a lot of notes written up, and I haven't even gotten to, of the stuff I have written up, I haven't even gotten to you guys' backgrounds and shuffling you in and adding missions for you specifically. All of that stuff I haven't even added yet because I haven't finished characters yet. So all that's going to do is shuffle in these additional things to hopefully give us a lot more time together, content together, and story to tell together. So I am super stoked to make sure everybody gets their time to shine and good character development and feeling like they're making a difference. Everyone except Mark.
Question on the note of Mark. Is this going to be something where we're going to go for general full attendance, or are we going to have a little blue orb floating around that just magically vacuums us up when we're not available to play?
So the reason that came up, for any of you that haven't watched Emancipation of Dragons, which I absolutely suggest because it's an awesome awesome campaign that is all in its entirety on YouTube.
YouTube. Yep.
Definitely go back and watch that. That'll give you a good idea of how some of this is going to run because I plan on running it kind of similarly to that, in parts, in a lot of parts. But I also have a gimmick. I have a MacGuffin that will help me remove players who don't show up for the night or who are late, so that their characters. We don't have to write your characters out for an entire episode, right? If somebody's going to be late, then they will be able to drop in wherever you guys are.
Okay.
If you guys are like, yeah, we're going on an adventure, and you take a con for a jewel out to another place, and then Travis and then Crow is like, oh yeah, I'm here. I'm 40 minutes later or whatever, but I'm here. And then we start. He's gonna be like, where is everybody? I'm hanging out having dinner, but nobody's here because they're all already on the planet. I have a gimmick for that. So he will
Okay.
pop up at the planet. While not explained, there will be an explanation provided that that's something you guys investigate. So that hopefully answers that question. I
Yes, sir.
will run as long as I have 3 players.
Okay.
If I have 3 players, I will run. If I have less than 3 players, obviously something is happening and we should probably just take a week off. As a reminder, also, because it's something that we need to remember, the first Monday of the month will not be Laughing Corpses. The first Monday of the month will be Kingdom Death Monster, which is a board game I'll have set up on my desk. That is a 4-player game, and I'll be playing with the community or with friends or whatever that drop in and play that.
You've never mentioned this game before, sir.
Yeah, well, it's it's a game that needs to get played.
It is indeed, sir.
Okay, yes, that I agree with.
Yeah.
I'm excited to experience that game.
Yeah. So okay. So good question. I do have something in place for people that can't be there. And then you guys can read up on notes or watch episodes in the past to get caught back up. And we'll be able to move forward. But as long as I have at least 3 players, counts on the game pushing forward. I am a big time check-in person. So count on me asking, hey, is everybody planning on making it? Hey, how are you guys looking? That kind of stuff. Usually over the weekend, since we're playing on Monday, just so I can get a good feel for who's going to be there and who's not going to be there. If any of you have socials that you would like to be represented in this, please make sure to pass those to myself or Mark so that we can make sure to tag them in the credits and possibly the opening video, because I will have an opening video, I will have a credits video once I get through everything else to get those done. And that way we can make sure that you guys are represented as well. But yeah, I think that's all I had. I'm super stoked. And the more prep work I do in the analog version of this game, the more excited I'm getting. Where it's going to be miniatures on maps and showing pictures on it. It reminds me of situations I've been at around the table where I have a TV up and I have a computer going to that TV and I show you guys the pictures that I saved for a bad guy. Or I'm showing you a vignette that I had mocked up for what it looks like in this forest glade that you're standing outside of. Or I have a map I printed out and drew on to make it like where you guys are for combat or whatever. So I am super stoked to be able to do that. But yeah, are there any more questions you guys can think of? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So, why don't we go ahead and move to some character creation stuff, just so you guys can get a feel for some of the steps I'm going to be asking for if you haven't already made your character. I have gotten 2 character sheets for characters. They look great. I've gotten 1 character sheet, and I've talked to the other person. I need a copy of that character sheet again, Crow. But I know.
Oh yeah, I need to
because you're updating
ask
it,
you
so I need
about
the new
that.
one.
Yeah.
So there are some things that we should probably talk about for character creation. Okay, to start, let me type this up so I can get a good view of it. To start, let's talk abilities. What is it called, Mark?
Sorry, what are we looking at? Arrays. Stat arrays. Yeah.
Okay, so I was looking at this the other day, and this is a list of all of the possible numbers you could use for your arrays. And essentially what it is they use a certain number of average points to make attributes. And so what you'll do is you'll take a grouping of 6 of these numbers, and you will use those numbers from this grouping. And I'll put the link into our chat so you guys have it. But you'll choose one of these lines, like 15, 15, 13, 10, 9, 9, and you'll put those in strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. And once you have those numbers, then you can go in and add your racial modifiers. Now, I am going to go one of 2 ways, depending on how you guys want to do this. And I know it may mess up the characters that are already done. But one of 2 ways. We can use the racial guidelines for any races that are currently out. Okay? Many of the races have, oh, you're this, you get a +2 in dexterity, and you've got this sub-race, you get a +1 in constitution. Or we can go with the Tasha's Cauldron of Everything guideline for attributes, where you are a elf, but maybe you're not the normal I'm super agile and wise elf or whatever, right? So you're gonna, instead of taking those attributes and adding them, you will be able to take 2 of a, you can put a +2 in a stat and a +1 in a different stat for your race. Or you can put a +1 in 3 different stats. And then you don't worry about every elf is the same for their for their ability modifiers, right? Every bugbear is the same for every. You can choose to be that elf who is smarter and more charismatic, or you can choose to be that dwarf who is super dexterous and I don't know, wise. But you can choose where you want those stats to be. And I prefer that way because there's always exceptions to the rule, right? Not every elf is going to be +2 dex, +1 con, or +2 dex, +1. So while elves are known for blank, to me, you're a player character and something makes you different, right? Something made you choose to go out of your way to be an adventurer instead of staying home and learning how to weave branches or whatever elves do because they're dumb.
I see what you did there.
Mark loves elves.
You mean tasty.
But yeah, so that was what I would prefer. I would prefer you choosing the race you're going to be, and you still get all of the other benefits of being that race, right? The elf would still get immunity or advantage against being charmed, immunity to magical sleep, all of the things an elf normally gets, but the attributes for that would be +2/+1 or +1/+1/+1. The +2/+1 have to be 2 different stats. The +1/+1/+1 have to be 3 different stats. You can't just push them all together. And I think doing that also helps with your arrays, where you want to put those points in your arrays. Is everyone cool with that? That's what I would prefer.
I like that.
Okay. Sweet.
I'm just gonna leave mine the way it is.
I think yours is like that anyway, right?
No, because I use standard array. I didn't.
I use standard also when I.
Yeah, you had said standard, so I didn't even consider all alternate variants.
What's the standard array?
It's 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. So you said standard, so I'm like, okay, we're getting locked in on the fixed stuff.
I use the incorrect terminology because to me, I've always, in my head, whenever I've done this, I've always said standard array to me means using something like this.
Oh, the point buy?
Kind of
Yeah,
like
this is more
point
buy.
But yeah, That has been my yes. So that's my bad. That's my bad. If you want to make those corrections, feel free.
Nah, I'm not going to.
No, I used standard also, and it kind of came out better than when I did it with point buy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you wanted to take a look at my sheet in D&D Beyond that I'm working on, Dan.
Okay. I that would be fine if you want to send me the link for that. I can check that out
Okay.
too. Um. So yeah, so that's how you're gonna figure out ability scores is that way. And then depending on what race you'll get additional abilities from your race, from your sub race if there is one. And then most races have sub groups that fall under them that give you slightly different things to add, right? And then when you choose your class, you're not really going to get to choose a subclass until around level 3. And that will change if you multi-class. So that's something to keep in mind. Because while if you multi-class, you will be level 1, or level 1, level 2, which doesn't mean you get level 3 in a subclass. Because while you may be level 3 overall, you're not 3 levels of something. So it's just something to consider. Background. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. There are a lot of options for background. The thing to remember with background is it's who you were. So it is things like hermit or orphan child or student, or there's a lot. There initiate. There are a lot. Sailor is one. I actually think chef is one too. But it shows it gives you starting gear. It gives you some extra starting skills. It gives you a couple extra things that help to explain where your character started his path or her path, their path. For example, have you chosen a background, Crow?
I was going to go Wild Spacer
Wild Spacer. So this
because
is
I
an
thought it fit
example
with the background
of
better.
a character. So you guys will find out next week when we run Crow's one shot. But he is of a race and ability that he knows what spelljamming is, and his species kind of are spelljammers without being spelljammers. So he actually has that as his part of his background. So Wild Spacer is grants him some abilities and some things that will definitely help down the line in capabilities. Good choice. That's a good one for your character, especially. How about you, Andres?
Sorry,
Huh?
what was that?
What did you choose for background?
I'm redoing stuff now that Magic's on the table, which is what I'm trying to get done right now. But I am thinking I'm gonna go criminal,
Okay.
or I might do a custom background.
Great. How are you?
I haven't decided yet.
Now, does that mean any characters that come from the Magic universe, extended universe, if they cast a spell, do they have to turn sideways?
That's a lay down.
Pro casting.
Daniel, I'm currently filling out my character sheet. I am going to play Emrakul.
In response, I'm gonna play as 15 squirrels.
15 scrolls on the stack.
I counterspell.
Hold on. I have not passed.
Counterspell is squirrel.
Oh, you haven't
yet.
crossed priority. That's fine.
I'd like to. Oh crap!
Oh my
Sorry.
gosh.
What's that spell? It's a black spell. Turns everyone into a 0/1 insect token.
I already am.
Yeah, that also has split second, so that has to resolve.
We're not rolling for our backgrounds, right?
I took Cook, by the way.
Okay. Which makes
I know
sense.
you'd be horribly surprised.
Yeah. Go figure.
Bro, that doesn't even apply to your character. What are you thinking?
I know.
Can't believe you.
Okay.
Uh,
So it is something to consider for backgrounds. What that's going to do, especially choosing it before you start spending or before you start looking at your skills, is a background will give you specific skills you are trained in, and then choose skills for your class. Right? Your class will say, choose 4 of these 7 choices. Right? And sometimes those overlap with your background. And if they overlap with your background, then you can choose them. Well, I've got those from my background, so I don't need to choose them from my class.
I
Cool.
think me reading the charlatan background thing first thing out was a bad idea. This sounds fun.
For the inspirational speaker bard.
Yep. Who I promised I wasn't gonna play a fudge boy,
Jeez Louise.
Wow.
but this is gonna. I'm a bard. I mean, come on.
Bards have an extended vocabulary,
I've heard
and
that.
some of their vocabulary is a little colorful, but in the context of creativity.
Yeah, it's just creative, colorful words.
That's right. It's additional flair.
Yes, there we go.
So,
Word.
I mentioned it. Go ahead. Yes, Mark.
Yes.
I do actually have a question.
Oh, sweet.
Hmm.
Let's just say, as an example, someone ended up in the
Throwing
Radiant.
themselves off a cliff.
No, in the Radiant
Oh.
Citadel. If none of these, I'm trying to even figure out how to ask the question. If none of these crystals go to where I want them to go, is there a way to get mail off of the Radiant Citadel
I mean,
to other places besides those that are listed here, or no? Which is fine if the answer is no. I just actually didn't know what kind of services they may have had. If there's no teleporting, I would imagine there'd be no like messaging off of the Radiant Citadel as well, or anything like that. Not that my character
Okay.
necessarily would even know that, but my point is like I'm just guessing as a whole. This is like it's an owned encapsulated world, and unless you're going to one of those
So,
12 crystals,
I wasn't going to go into this yet, but there is a way to get messages to other places. Yes.
okay,
It is not mail, but there is
Sure.
a way to get there is a way to get messages to other
So-
people in other places.
so anyone that's been there for a little while would know that.
No.
Or no.
Anyone that asks.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So not anyone. This is a well kept secret in the Radiant Citadel, because most people just want to send messages back home, and most people are from those 13 civilizations, so they just hand a letter to the guy they know is going there
Sure.
to pick fruit or to get food or to take stuff back to his family, and he'll bring letters back like they used to in
Right.
non-fantasy historical settings.
But if somebody is there is like, hey, is there any way to get a message back to Seattle?
then they would be interviewed, kind of.
Okay.
And to make sure that they're not nefarious people.
Mhm.
And because also keep in mind that where the Radiant Citadel is on purpose. It is a well-kept secret on purpose.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Is there an adventuring guild?
No.
Adventurers guild.
Not the way you're thinking.
Okay.
The council offers missions. Yeah, I guess there is. There is something like it, yes.
Okay.
Weird side question. How long does it take to put armor on?
Depends on the armor, because some are upwards of like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering because so my Thry Crane has that natural carapace that gives him 14 AC with no armor.
Yep.
But if I put the chainmail on him, his AC with his shield bumps up to 18.
And
Is it worth it to wear the chainmail?
You know they don't stack, right?
Right. I know the 14 doesn't.
Yeah.
But on my character sheet in D&D Beyond, if I equip the chainmail,
so then
it puts me at 18.
This is actually a really old philosopher's debate. Do you sleep in your plate mail and are looked down on people for sleeping in your plate mail? Because, Jesus, man, you're sleeping in plate mail. That's got to be uncomfortable. Or do you spend the time to take it off and put it on every morning?
There's actually rules on that, right? So if you sleep in your armor, you actually wake up fatigued.
Yep.
Because you couldn't get a good night's rest because you were sleeping in armor. Now, there are some cases, you're not the only one in the party that has a natural AC. In most cases, the Warforged also has a natural AC.
I could see there being enough benefit to put it on if you have the time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, because like a 2 AC bump is pretty big.
Yeah, and if you get caught off guard, you still have natural armor. That's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Is it one of the armors that gives you a penalty to stealth?
Yeah, it disadvantages of stealth.
Yeah, so that's also something to keep in mind.
Right. I think I get an advantage to stealth checks because of the color of my skin.
Only when you're standing still, I think.
Right.
And only when you're telling me you're trying to stealth. Because you're giving your body time to settle.
So would that just be a straight roll then, since it's got the advantage and the disadvantage?
So I hate to put it this way, but no, because you're covering up your carapace to put on armor.
Ah, yeah, okay.
So I was wondering, Daniel, I found a background as bounty hunter. It's technically homebrew, but I wanted to send it your way to make sure it's not.
Yeah, send it to me.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Should I just link it in the chat?
Yeah. Link in the chat. Shoot me a Facebook message. It doesn't matter. I'll get to it. No problem. Actually, okay. So, Travis, you're like Crow. You're like a 90% solution at this point. For finished
for my character sheet? Yeah.
And Andres, you're pretty much done, right?
Mean.
For your character sheet?
For stats and spells, yeah. I'm just working on the backstory now.
Okay. And Mark, I know your stuff is new to you, but you're pretty much done, right? Other than
I'm 100% done.
Okay. And Shank?
I have not done my character sheet, but I'm already.
You need the document. Once we do the document, but you'll be pretty good with that, right?
Yeah, I should be. 5th edition's not my primary wheelhouse, but I'm sure I'll pick it up pretty quick.
The cat is flashing her butthole at Naomi, and it's hilarious.
I was gonna say, man, that cat's getting a little aggressive there.
Okay, so
look at this mother.
So I'll schedule some time with Megs, Tyler, and Justin to make sure we can get you guys knocked out. And Naomi, I'll get with you.
Don't knock them out.
Pop,
It's so messed up.
That's funny because I'll throw a punch and I'll be the one on the ground.
This is true.
Hilarious, Mark.
I love
hilarious. You are so mean.
Jesus, Mark. Have
Dan,
some decorum.
Do you want me to send you the link to trial access or
Retcon Games?
Oh, the character sheet?
Yeah.
Yeah, Retcon Games. Retcon Games. RET.
All one word.
CON Games. Yeah, all one word at gmail.com.
Oh, email it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, what did you mean?
I was going to send it to you on Discord.
Oh, send it to me on Discord. I'm trial access on Discord.
Okay.
Yeah. And Naomi, I'll get with you and help finish up your character too, because I think we're at the beginnings of your character, but we haven't gotten very far yet. So all I really need from you guys is a little bit of homework from you before we run your one shot. And if you can give me about 2 weeks to really write something up special, that way I make sure I give you guys the care and attention that I'd want to for your one shot. Some one shots might be longer than others. That is not a judge on how much I care about you. It's just this is where your character progressed. For example, I have Travis's for next week written up, Crow's written up for next week, assuming that you're good with that, Crow.
Yeah.
And it would be an example of how combat works, how some of his abilities work, his background. So any of you that want to show up and hang out for that, I'll do before we start. I will do a hey, who's interested in volunteering, so that I don't call on people and get them all embarrassed or whatever. I imagine that as these go on and more people see what I'm asking for and expecting from the NPC roles, people are going to be okay with doing it. But in the very beginning, I don't anticipate everybody's going to be like, yeah, sure, use me, blah, blah, blah.
If you're not here, I will silently judge you.
Did you say that the first three were going to be Crow, Mark, and myself?
That's the plan, yeah.
Okay.
Crow's first because he's done this with me before, what I'm
Right.
looking at for these one-shots. So it was a tight choice because since he's done this with me before, it was either, wink, it was either have him as an NPC because he knows what I'm asking for, or have him as the player because he knows what I'm asking for. So I'm gonna have him as a player first, and then I'll choose between Mark and Shane depending on the background stuff I'm gonna be working, and then I'll be going around the circle. So everyone will get their chance to shine. Everyone will get a good background, a good update, and then what I haven't decided yet, but what we might do is have a Monday after all 8 are done, where we go over characters and allow people to make changes if they want, because their character wasn't doing what they wanted or didn't work out the way they wanted, whatever. Or I'll just jump in and we'll see how people feel when we get closer. It is 8 weeks, 9 weeks technically, between next week and when these one shots end because there are a lot of you. So, and in there we're gonna have a Kingdom Death monster, obviously. So at least one. So just keep that in mind. We've got plenty of time. Hey, Justin.
Something I did want to bring up, a couple things. First is I'm totally down to do some RP for some of the stories or anything that you want to do.
Sweet.
So let me know. The other thing is I know every first Monday is Kingdom Death Monster, but for this month in 2 weeks, are we going to be running on Monday the 27th? I think we're heading out to Vegas.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
he'll be
you're
back by
gonna be
then.
gone. Yeah, you'll be there for Vegas, right, hun?
No,
Well, I am going to be. I am on my schedule. I am available every Monday.
Okay.
So the 27th, I think.
Because the
I'm trying to remember.
24th, that weekend is you're gone. You're gone.
yeah, but you had mentioned you were possibly going back the 26th a.m.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was getting a little confused because of this.
He won't.
So
be
I will be in
back
Vegas that
for
weekend. I will be driving back Sunday, and we'll be getting in Sunday late. And
Yeah.
but I will still be able to run Monday.
Okay.
And in theory, everyone should be home and ready to play on Monday. In theory.
But if they're not because they've been traveling all weekend and need some rest, that's perfectly okay too.
And understandable. Yes.
Yes.
Except for Daniel, he's not allowed.
Except for
Yep.
Daniel. He's
Except
a
for
No
GM
breaks.
and he did this
Yep.
to himself.
I did this to myself. Good question. Very good question. My plan is to make sure, at least on the Frightful Forge Twitch schedule, the calendar, to have it written up what days are what, so that if there's any question. But if there is any question, feel free to check the Laughing Corpses text chat because I'll put if I can't make it or whatever. Like I've said before, actually I don't know if I have said it before, but when I said I was going to be running if there's at least 3 players, there's a good chance that if I'm running and it's that few of players, it will not be the main story. If you guys are in the middle of a combat, then we may be doing a flashback or a flash forward or something else.
Oh no, don't get started.
If we or a side quest or how you have to drag Mark's corpse back to the House of Convalescence because he died in some inexplicable way from jumping off of something he shouldn't have jumped off of.
I'm just gonna pour
You've
some
been dead
alchemist
this
fire
whole
on him and be
time,
done with
Mark.
it.
You had that nitroglycerin. I mean, the salve of healing, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, the potions of cure wounds.
The one you
They're a
got to
little. They're a little
slap on me.
spicy. You got to sip. Don't gulp.
But yeah, so that is the plan moving forward, and I should be good with the weeks we have ahead. One of the cool things about it being a Monday is that most of my leave is later in the week when I end up taking leave for stuff. So I should be good to run most Mondays. But yeah, as always, let me know if you have questions or if there's an issue or whatever. Please hit me up.
I have issue with the amount of hair your cat is putting on me right now.
Funny part about that is you're sitting in my spot, which means you're putting
I
all that
know.
fur right where I sleep.
You're not allergic. I am.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. I'm thinking of these things as they pop up. I keep getting distracted looking at the people.
You're welcome.
The pronunciation guides. So a lot of the stories in this book are based, they're written by and based on POC writers and cultures. And in that, there are pronunciation guides for some of the NPCs. I noted that in your Google Doc that you guys are going to be sharing for notes, there is a section for notable NPCs. So when I get a chance, part of my homework for you guys is going to be including a pronunciation guide for those NPCs when they get dropped.
I will not draw bad phonetics when I do notes.
I'm going to be writing them in phonetics because I find that to be the easiest. I will say I have a hard time pronouncing certain things, especially now. I'm still gonna try. That doesn't mean you guys need to. Just be respectful and do the best you can. I have watched a lot of guides for this set of modules, a lot of guides. Many of them on YouTube from POCs of that culture that pronounce the name so I can try to get it right. But one of the things I suggest is if you're having a hard time pronouncing any of these names, shorten them into a partial of a nickname or the like because it's good to get the content out. Don't struggle or kill yourself over trying to pronounce something you're having a really hard time to. But the most we can say is with all of the content I'm going to be running, be respectful. I chose this group specifically because I didn't think that was going to be a problem. Yeah, I appreciate every single one of you responded super fast with red lines, which I really appreciated. I'm going to be getting an email together or a message together to send to you guys so that everybody is on the same page for the red lines. But most of them were, yep, those are really good red lines. The ones I sent out are pretty much it. So moving forward, that's good. But there are a handful of extras I'll make sure everybody gets so we're all on the same page. But I will say none of them were things I think any of this group would jump to immediately, which made me feel good as a GM who chose you guys to play. That I didn't feel that none of them were things that you guys would be like first time out the gate. So yeah. But yeah, I think that that probably does it for tonight, unless anybody has any more questions. And then if you guys want to hang out after I close it down, we'll go over some bookkeeping stuff. And yeah, so thank you guys very much for hanging out. I hope that you're all as excited as I am to both play and tell this story. So this is a very eclectic group of characters. I think it's gonna be so stoked getting the Tales from the Forge out, where each of you gets your moment to shine. I'm really looking forward to that. I love you guys very much. Keep it real. Drink some water. Hug somebody you love, and game on.
Game on.
Game on.